Welcome to IoT Technology, Module 3. This is Pradeep Kumar from Department of CSC, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangalore. So we are discussing third module. We'll begin with the third module according to our curriculum. So we are going to cover these many topics under this. IP as the IoT network layer is a chapter or module name. So under which we are covering the business case for IP. So what is the need for IP in our IoT? Those things we are covering in the first part. Second part, the need for optimization. This is as a very much important content or very much important topic under this. What is the need for optimization? Then we are discussing how we can optimize IP along with IoT for IoT. Then we will see some of the profiles and compliances with respect to IP and IoT. Then later we'll discuss about different application protocols for IoT. Then we'll discuss about transport layer in IoT and other IoT application transport methods we will discuss in this last topic. We'll see one by one in detail. Moving further, business case. So why we need this IP, Internet Protocol, with respect to IoT? So as in general, IoT, Internet of Things, when we say the term things, on the other hand, we may say we are creating smart objects. When we say smart objects, we are giving life to the physical objects using sensors, actuators, and processing all those. So when we say smart object, nothing but it is having n number of sensors, actuators, and maybe having processing power as usual. Sometimes we may need to store those sensor data, or we may need to process it. We may need to present it to the user. So for the various reasons. So now, whatever the data is generated from the sensor as a smart object, so that particular data should be consumed, controlled, monitored by the data center servers, either in the cloud or in different locations. We may say location in the sense either distributed or centralized. So now we are stressing more on this particular part as individual data from a single sensor. So that particular data must be consumed. So what do you mean by this consuming? Nothing but it should be utilized for any one of the operations. Otherwise, there is no need of connecting sensor. So if there is no need of utilizing the data, no need of developing itself. Then, so once we get the data, we're supposed to control it. Controlling in the sense, either you may transform from one form to another form, or you are going to convert into one form into another form, or using that you may control any other activities in that particular smart object using an actuator. Then the entire data can be monitored throughout the day by the data center. So when we say monitoring or controlling, so the data might have been converted and saved in our data center. So data center we may kept in any one of the location, either in cloud or in distributed manner or in a centralized position. So we'll consider a situation where consider the classroom. So now we are converting the classroom into smart classroom, say with the help of smart objects. So now with the smart objects, we are trying to implement the IoT part by connecting temperature sensor, camera module, and Wi-Fi, so that I can monitor or we can monitor temperature level in the classroom throughout the day. So now the temperature sensor will sense the nature where it has been connected, and it will get those temperature data. So now the temperature data may be in the form of Fahrenheit. So that particular temperature data must be consumed for our application. So when we say temperature, so if it is in a Fahrenheit, we are supposed to convert it into Celsius so that it can be readable or understandable by the normal people. So controlling may have converting that. It may have the controlling of the temperature in the classroom by connecting with the actuator so that we can speed up the fan or reduce the speed of fan. And we can monitor throughout the day. For every half an hour, we can monitor the temperature level by writing a program. So now this entire temperature data, we can keep it in data center. So data center, where to locate? Either in our own premises or maybe in the cloud. So that is how the first point is. So the point says the data flowing from or to things which is consumed. Things in the sense sensors or physical objects. It should be consumed, controlled, monitored by the data center. So that's why we need to keep a track on the data. So that particular data can be transformed from the lower level to the upper level. Lower level physical to upper level application level. So that is where is a need of network to transfer this particular data from lowermost, from sensor to the server. So to do with this, we may need dedicated applications. So these dedicated applications can run over virtualized or traditional operating systems or on network edge platforms. So we may supposed to write a dedicated application program to deal with this temperature data, or on the other hand, we may have a ready-made or built-in application, so which can utilize this particular temperature data. So now to manage with the application should collect those data, right? Either it is virtualized or using traditional operating system or through the network. So there is a need of a network now, because to use those particular data, we need a specific application. So that application we may run in either virtual OS, traditional OS, or in the network. On the other hand, we may have a lightweight applications, so that it can communicate with the data center servers. Again, communication from the application towards the server, or communication from the server towards this particular application, communication from the server towards the actuator, all those communication. So now the task is to combine all these three. Now we're supposed to combine sensor data that is to be communicated to the cloud or to the data center, supposed to communicate via dedicated applications which is available either in traditional OS or virtual OS or network OS, or we may have dedicated lightweight applications, no need of OS itself, direct DOS, or maybe readily available lightweight applications. So to combine all these, combining various physical and data link layers call for an architectural approach. We need a dedicated architecture kind of setup to combine all these three features in our IoT. So to do this, we need IP. So that's why the necessity of IP come. So now to make this particular attempt, we may need a common layer that is independent from the lower connectivity and or upper layers. So we may need an independent, intelligent layer, so that we can have a combined environment of all these from lower level to upper layer. So that is why the need of IP. So what are the advantages of IP now? So we stressed why we need IP, right, in our IoT. So because of the features of IoT, so that we can utilize IP for the better communication purpose in our IoT. So what are the major advantage of Internet Protocol or IP? As we know, IP architecture is one of the oldest, maybe 30-year-old IP architecture. So that it is same time it is able to maintain its operations for large number of devices. When we say large number of devices, maybe 3 billion or more than 3 billion in internet as usual. So we'll see some of the advantages now. Open, and first advantage says open and standards based. So open in the sense, so operational technology based on this particular operation technology, so that anybody can use in their environment, as an guaranteeing interchangeability with the communication. guaranteeing interchangeability between different devices, different data, and it is supposed to maintain a standard. Standard, who will set the standard? We have IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. So that is supplied by this IETF. So now, if this is the case, IETF look after those standard with respect to IP, and the major focus on development of the IP related with different internet technology and protocols, so that it should be available for everyone by providing security and managing with all the communication setup. So there may be number of features available with respect to different vendors as well. So these vendors should optimize with the standard. So standards are maintained by IETF. Second point says versatile. So versatile in the sense a large or a huge spectrum of access, large area of access technologies which is available for connectivity with respect to our IoT. So it should have a diverse area, diverse access with the technologies by the IP. So what do you mean by that? Diverse or huge access, large access. So it should have a clear cut backhaul setup, protocol setup, technology setup under this. So which may help in data center activity. Getting it? So any further clarification on this? The next advantage is ubiquitous. So this ubiquitous is one of the hot topic nowadays, last from 2 to 3 years. So we may hear the terminology ubiquitous computing, nothing but lightweight computing, lightweight embedded system, right? Embedded computing, all this comes under this particular criteria. Because we supposed to develop a tiny or very lightweight operating system so that we can handle all the sensor kind of data. So right now in the market, we may have Raspberry Pi, Arduino, Intel Galileo, and so many others as an example, if you consider. So which may include these lightweight operating systems so that it will act as a general purpose computer as well. So with the tiny OS. So now with these, so it may integrate both IPv4 and IPv6. So because of security is concerned, because of more number of devices that should be able to connect with the internet, we may need this ubiquitous facility of IP. So ubiquitous in the sense in general, so internet protocol can have this tiny lightweight embedded systems. So from these embedded systems, we may get the data to the server. So that is recent standardization by the help of IPv6, which emphasized this ubiquitous computing as well. So as one of the solution, say industry solution or IoT solution. So we can say in general, IP or internet protocol may be the best suited with the IoT. Next point, the fourth advantage is scalable. As we know, it is a common protocol for the internet protocol, IP. It is massively deployed and tested for its robustness, right? So millions and millions of private and public IP infrastructure are available. So millions of IP nodes, number of nodes or endpoints are available. So again, it is added advantage with respect to IoT as well. So because each individual smart object may have n number of sensors in it. So these n number of sensors may consume the internet data, right? Utilize the internet data as well. So that we can say it is scalable, so easily adaptable. Next one is manageable and highly secure. As communication infrastructure is concerned, as IP is already built up over 30 more years, so that operational infrastructure setup is well understood by everyone, everyone understood by the industry as well, with the help of network management, with the help of security management, all those. That's why we may go with internet protocol. So this is one of the major advantage under this. So it is manageable because a good old, so it will have a well understood network management. It is having a well understood security protocol as well with respect to IP, and it will have a very secure tool set to manage with the IP. So these are the major advantages to have IP in our IoT. Next point is stable and resilient. When we say stable, so if we already discussed stable from last 30 years or more than that. So IP has developed and developing still. So it is having a large and well established knowledge or information. It is already deployed by very critical systems as well, deployed along with the voice and video, which may have a close environment infrastructure as well. So for all these different kind, so IP worked as a stable environment. So that's why we may stick on this IP as it is served with the different kind of systems, different kind of areas, so that it can manage. Then consumers market adoption. So based on individual, while developing IoT solutions, individual application we can say, or individual operating system based on tiny, deploying different operating systems based on the market or based on the vendor, it is very easy to adopt because of IP, because it is well established from the past. So nothing to worry. So nothing new is there in that. So it is very easy to adopt for the current situation, very easy to adopt. So that's why we can say it is consumer centric or consumer friendly. So when we say sensors, we may have observed plenty of sensors available in our smartphone, Android smartphone, or any other smartphone as well. So that anybody, those who wanted to implement sensors, it is very easy to implement because of this IP. So through IP, we can easily communicate the data, the sensor data, towards the server or towards the user. And one more, the last major factor is innovation. Innovation factor is concerned with, from the past years, it is largely or very well establishment has been taken place because of increased innovation. And IP is one of the foundation protocol, we can say, for any other to implement with the application oriented protocols like WWW or any FTP, file transfer protocols, hypertext HTTP, SMTP, SNMP. So all this, and even e-commerce, net banking also, if you consider. So these are the things where continuous improvement and innovations that takes place. Research is going on this. That's why we may select IP, so that is best suited with our IoT. So these are the major advantages of IP. That is the reason we may go with IP for our IoT. So the first point is open and standards based. Second point, versatile. Third point, ubiquitous, scalable, manageable and highly secure, stable over the past years, so easily can be adaptable for all the situations, innovative. So all these factors affected for our selection with the IP. Moving further, so we have something called adaptation and adoption. So on the other way, adoption or adaptation of the IP in our IoT. So here the two terminology we are supposed to remember. Adaptation means it is application layer gateway, ALG. Adaptation is nothing but application layered gateway. So we'll have a layer with respect to each individual application is concerned. So using that, we can easily access IP. That is what that particular adaptation says. Next point is adoption, which involves replacing all non-IP layers. with their counterparts, IP layer counterparts. The second part. So why are using this, either adaptation or adoption? So we can utilize IP internet protocol. So in general, if you consider adaptation, so we are replacing a particular layer by providing ALGs, application layered gateways, so that you can easily cope up with different applications on the top, applications over internet protocol. So like FTP, SMTP, all this. So we may develop a separate application layer gateway so that we can utilize those protocols in the internet. That is one thing, that is adaptation. Second thing is adoption. So we can replace all the non-IP layers with their IP equivalent counterparts. That is adoption. So now to do this exercise, either adaptation or adoption, some of the factors we supposed to consider. What are those factors? So which is to be considered for the last mile connectivity, saying that around 4 major factors that is to be considered. The factors are, first one, bidirectional versus unidirectional data flow. So sometimes we may need bidirectional communication, as we in general. Sometimes we may need only unidirectional, say something like unicast and broadcast. Bidirectional duplex service can be needed. Both sender and receiver should be communicated. That is bidirectional or duplex. Unidirectional, only sender will send all those data. Unidirectional, say we can say unicast, or we can say even broadcast, only one side, TV broadcasting, radio broadcast, all those, only one directional data flow. So this particular factor can be implemented using IP for our IoT. So now, while selecting either adaptation or adoption with this ALG, we may select which one. So this is the factor we supposed to consider while implementing that kind of setup. Then second part is overhead. Overhead for last mile communication path. So when we say overhead, the delay or number of packets that we wanted to communicate, either we may follow with the TCP or UDP. If it is TCP, then it's okay. If it is UDP, it is very expensive because there is no acknowledgement. There is no guarantee that a packet is delivered. If it is TCP, we can guarantee that the packet or data has been received on the other end, right? So to overcome with this overhead, so we may need to develop our own technologies. So this last mile communication may take huge power supply as well, because when we consider power supply, our IoT is concerned with low power supply. We may supposed to deploy our own kind of layer over here, because our sensors utilize very less power, maybe 5 volt or less than that, based on individual sensor. So there is an overhead. So that is the second factor that is to be decided. Then coming to the data flow model. When we say data flow model, so one of the advantage of using IP is it is an end-to-end communication, end-to-end, both from sender to receiver, receiver to send, end-to-end connection. There is establishment with that IP. But when we say this end-to-end, it is easy to communicate. Is it easy to exchange the data between both node to node or node on a network to another node from the network? So one end of the node may be connected to one network, another end of node connected to another network, so that this irrespective of different networks. So using IP, the data flow model can be easily adopted for end-to-end communication. Because the adaptation, when we say adaptation, so we may have a layered gateway, we may have a layered kind of setup, abstraction layer kind of setup over here, so that we can easily communicate to the different file systems or different areas, different servers. When we say adoption, we can replace with our own data flow model. So this is another factor that we're supposed to consider. Then if we say network diversity is concerned with, we're supposed to identify the drawbacks with the adaptation layer. In general, it is very dependent with the physical layer, physical and MAC layer, because based on that adaptation is decided whether that particular application layer suits with the physical. When we say, for example, you may heard about Zigbee. Zigbee is a network. So during Zigbee, whether it is easy to communicate, to deploy with our application, right? So that is a factor based on different networks. So whether using Wi-Fi, using Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is again a different network. Wi-Fi is again a different network. Zigbee is again a different network. Through these different networks, we are supposed to communicate end-to-end communication through IP. So why this factor concerns is either we go with adaptation by developing our own application layer gateway, or we may remove some part of this individual network and we may implement. So that's why these particular factors are having more weightage while going with the adaptation or adoption in our IoT. Any doubt or any clarification? Please get back. Moving further. So now we discussed why we need IP in our IoT to communicate. In general, if we say to communicate, but why? How to optimize this one to our suit or for our usage? So in this case, IoT or Internet of Things be built on Internet Protocol suite. So we can easily build this particular kind of IP protocol suite. To cope up with the integration with respect to non-IP devices, we have to deal with the limitations. Limitation in the sense the device factors, whatever the device we use in that smart object, whether that particular device is able to deal with the IP while we connect to the network, or based on the network level of the IoT that we use, based on the network level of our IoT. Let's say if it is a Bluetooth, if it is a private network, whether that particular network can be cope up with IP. So how to integrate that? So in this reason, we supposed to optimize it. So that is why optimization are needed at various layers of the IP stack. So in each and individual layers, we may need of optimization to handle different restrictions on IoT networks. When we say IoT network, it is low power or low distance coverage, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all those. So to deal with this, we need to optimize our IP. However, we know IP is transitioning from V4 to version 6, which can add further improvements in that IoT space. Because of when we say version 6, IPv6, we can easily accommodate more number of devices. We can accommodate more number of machines, sensors, actuators in the particular smart object, so that we can easily collect the data through IP. That's why there is a need of optimization to suit with the IP. Continuing further, we have something called constrained nodes. So what is this? Depending on the functions of the network, a particular object may offer some characteristics, or we say we can say some constraints. So it will have its own capacity to communicate with. Say for example, temperature data. If you say it will deal with only temperature data only. So that is on the other way we can say it is a limitation, or other say it will deliver what it intended for. So only perspective, only limitations if you consider with that. So now how to cope up with those kind of nodes? Because each individual node is capable to do its own task that is individual to that particular node. So that is why we may say it as constrained nodes. So when we say constrained nodes, it is depends on the functionality, depends on why we use it. So now IoT constrained nodes can be classified as follows. One is devices that are very constrained in resources, very constrained with respect to resources, may communicate infrequently to transmit a few bytes, and it may have a limited security and management capability. Then devices with enough power and capacities devices with enough power and capacities to implement a stripped down IP stack or non-IP stack. So that is, one is very less or very limited resources, another one is very small amount of power and capacity to implement the IP stack. And some devices may be similar to the generic IP, such as very bandwidth and other parts are concerned. Okay, any doubts can ask.